Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are doing a very good job. The afternoon session is always a very challenging session for both the parties. And after a beautiful food and a very warm food, it becomes more challenging. But thank you very much. You are doing an outstanding job. Keep your smile on. And it is your responsibility to keep the speaker motivated. The speaker before me was an outstanding speaker. What a beautiful job you have done, sir. Given the mantra to the people to survive and expand the human resource work as impacting the bottom line. Each and every ingredient that you have given is so true that in case if we operate with even 50% of that, believe me, you are going to be respected in the profession that you are in, and you are lucky that you are in the profession of a human resources. It's not normal to be a human resource person. You need to be very selfless. You need to be very high on your morale. You need to be very respected and very self-motivated. Only then you would be in a position to enjoy this profession that is called human resources. And I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have spent all your life experimenting with the various interventions of the human resources. What I'm going to do today in the next 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, is to tell you about what we have done as a team within the Gulf Oil International to inject few initiatives to ensure that we have built a sustainable leadership pipeline within our organization. But before I do that, I would like to thank Dr. Bhatia and the outstanding team for giving me an opportunity to address this August gathering. And thank you very much again for staying with me for the next 20 minutes. Thank you very much. If you're talking about leadership, you all have talked about it, discussed about it, debated about it, brainstormed about it. Eventually, to my understanding, and I'm sure most of you who have spent all your life within the organizations, building leaders and facilitating the process of sustaining leadership pipeline would agree, ladies and gentlemen, that eventually leaders become great not because of their power. They become great because of their ability to empower others. At least I firmly believe. And I think if the leaders start thinking their ability to influence with the definition, most of the issues around the leaders will go away. Before I take you to a little example of how we have implemented the initiative, I would like you to see this video, which is a minute and a half, to actually represent the kind of organization that I am coming from. And then it would be easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, to connect your thoughts with the interventions that we as a team have implemented within the organization. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Please see this video and enjoy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Gulf Oil International is all about. Quality, endurance, and passion. When the quality, endurance, and passion becomes your theme, then the challenge on the human resource professional is enormous. The challenge of keeping the people behind these values motivated. So what we have done, have implemented few initiatives to keep them alive, motivated, inspired, to create this sustainable leadership pipeline. And this is exactly what I'll do in the next 20 minutes with you. Hopefully, for some of you, I'm not saying that it would be an eye-opener because you might have implemented more voluminous schemes like that, but I'm sure few of you would take some inputs out of this particular session so that you can either improvise or help me improvise this program for my organization. That is what my aspiration is in this small session. Ladies and gentlemen, when we are talking about Gulf Oil, very briefly for those people who do not know us, we are 1901 institutionalized. Hinduja Group acquired this organization in 1984. We are a diverse organization, 1,200 people, 15 nationalities, truly international organization, which has its own challenges. the challenge to cope up with the change, the challenge to cope up with the culture, the challenge to cope up with the passion and the diversity. The business areas, you all know, is a lubricant. All we do is sell lubricants to the world. So what is Gulf is like? And this is an evolving organization. Gulf is youthful. Gulf is fresh. Gulf is flexible, responsive, trying new things. Now, these are absolutely fantastic situations for a human resource professional. But let me tell you, and you all have spent all your life practicing human resources, that when an organization is evolving with these kind of values, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, you know. Disadvantage is the ownership is there with the human resources to ensure that the right interventions are in place to ensure they are motivated. Because if the interventions are not right, ladies and gentlemen, then you would write the difficult chapter in the evolution of such organizations. And that's the reason it's important for you to realize that it cannot be lifted and shifted initiatives. It has to be a bespoke initiative. And this is exactly what I would discuss with you in this brief session. So what our relationship feel like at this point in time? And as the pictures depict, they are loyal, they are diverse, they are trusting. So more ownership with us in order to have the right interventions. Mission is aggressive. Top 10 downstream companies of the world, double sales by 2020, expand fuel network to 60 countries, and nurturing passion, which is so personal to an individual's life. It has become your mandate, HR's mandate, to nurture the passion and grow the talent of an organization which is youthful, flexible. Reasons to believe to actually achieve that is that in the last 2 years, we have doubled our EBITDA. In the last 3 years, we have doubled our volume. In the last 5 years, we have increased and enhanced our retail presence in the world from 15 to 23. And in the last 5 years, our brand position moved from 20th to 14th. So we have the reasons to believe that we would be in a position to achieve this by 2020. What is required to be done is to ensure that the leadership is motivated. And that becomes very difficult when the objectives are so aggressive. So we as a human resource team sat together and brainstormed on what are the 3 things that we would be in a position to focus on, not the laundry list. And what we have focused on is to drive the performance culture. Single motive. All initiatives around it. Drive the performance culture. Simple. No jargons. Build the talent capability. And deliver a motivated work environment. All your initiatives, ladies and gentlemen, you might use all the scientific models and the tools. The fundamental needs to be absolutely explicit, else you would not get the desired result that you expect out of it. We have targeted on these 3 key focus. What today I'll do is to share one of those initiatives with you. And that too, just on the box called Build Talent Capability, because the time is not there to discuss about all the 3 boxes that we have. In nurturing passion and growing talent initiatives, we have implemented 5 initiatives in the last 12 months. Carefully selecting the communities that we are catering to. Program for senior management, program for middle management, program for all employees so that they should come up with the pace, targeted program for sales people so that they can achieve the target that they would like to do, and targeting the attributes as value creation. Because that is what is the differentiator. We all want to create value within the organization. What exactly do you want to achieve? That is very important for you to do. And then regular, continuous professional development in order for them to really understand what they should do and what they should not do. Give them the tools, the techniques, and the practical aspects of understanding and progressing towards the objective and the goal. I would discuss today Gulf Oil International Leadership Program, and this is precisely for the senior leadership people. One more thing that I want to discuss with you. When you're preparing your senior leaders to take over the senior positions, what we normally do is we don't think about who would fill their position. We completely forget about the middle management. Don't do that. Because the moment you start focusing on your senior leadership, what you're doing is creating another gap by taking them away and not preparing your middle management to take up that position. Please focus on both. You cannot nurture the passion of an organization by just focusing on the senior leadership. Organization doesn't work with just the senior leaders. Organization needs all of you to be a part of it. What we did was 5 programs just on the talent capability building. Results, at the end, 25% of the senior leadership are there, available in the talent pool to take up the new roles. And the middle management, 25% are available in order to fill the position that are being vacated by the senior leadership. And that is how the whole cycle is progressing. Now the program. All we did was identified the values that we would be targeting, because it was for senior leadership. And I'm talking about Gulf Oil Advanced Leadership Program. I'm not talking about Emerging Leadership Program, because the programs that we have implemented was Gulf Oil Advanced Leadership Program for senior leadership, Emerging Leadership Program for middle management, and then the other programs for other various communities. When we are talking about the senior leadership, the journey was very clear, ladies and gentlemen. From strategic leadership to transformational leadership. When we're talking about emerging leadership, we are talking about operational leadership to strategic leadership. And that is what we have implemented. The program delivered the results that it was required to do. The structure of the program, which I wanted to discuss with you, was the Gulf Oil International Advanced Leadership Program. It was not a workshop 3 days and finish it. It was a continuous journey, very carefully managed, monitored at every stage of the performance. It started with carefully selecting the right profiles to go through that program. And that's the most important stage in the development of that program. It should avoid the subjectivity. It should avoid the partiality. And how can you do that? Is by doing an independent assessment, not by just going through the nominations of your chief executive. Because that might be partial. That might lack the objectivity that you desire. That might bring the profile that you don't want in the system, or do not have the ability to grow in the system. So you do the assessment of 360-degree and identify that the nominations that have come to the program has got the ability to grow in the organization. That validating the focus from the chief executives and the global executive council, so that they understand the kind of objective that they want to achieve. And then after the workshop, you go for a 6 months project that the international team will do together to say if they are capable of working globally, if their ways of working are inclined towards the objective that you want to achieve. Are they in a position to understand the cultural sensitivities required in order to achieve the objective together? And then after that project, and after the presentation of that project, we have done a repeat assessment to see the movement of an individual from point A to point B. And then the top 25% of the population have come up as a very clear leadership team to take up the senior position. Rest 75%, who were stalwarts in their professional field and were very favorable of the people who have nominated them, could not do anything to move forward. This is where the differentiation is, ladies and gentlemen. It cannot be 3 days workshop, 10 days workshop. It's a continuous journey that you have to adopt in order to keep them motivated to be a part of it. Right. The foundation was very clear. Competencies that you might be having in your organization. I'm sure you all have the competencies on which you develop your leaders. All we have done is we have targeted senior managers to move from experience to advanced level of the competencies, and middle management to move from practitioner to experienced level of competencies. So that the gap is very clear. The attributes are very clear. How they are progressing in their career is very clear. They know what they want to achieve, and there is no dispute between my progress and your progress. Then we have moved on with a specially designed 360-degree assessment, assessment sample report, which an individual will discuss with their line managers, identify their strengths, identify the weakness, and then work on the individual developmental goal of that individual. And each of these assessment reports led to individual development plan of the people. We have connected that to the performance appraisal of that individual. Unless you are connecting that which impacts their bottom line, taking home ability, they won't be in a position to take that seriously. Please link everything that you are doing to the performance. And then the group report was prepared by the consultant, and then it was discussed with the management, and the training program was identified as a 3 days incentive workshop that each of them have gone. After the workshop, they have been given the strategic project to validate their capability of expanding with the global ways of working, not to understand and test their ability to work strategically. Are they ready culturally to move on as a global team, or are they still talking about India, Indonesia, Philippines, and Korea? And then, after the project is over, they have been subjected to the same assessment, which has identified the move of the people from A to B. And that has given you a clear-cut answer, who is capable and who is not. One last thing before I conclude. You have to be very careful that each investment that you are doing, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure, has a return on investment. Most of the time, we get trapped by the consultant who sells these programs after having a reactive assessment report and will say, the program was fantastic. You give a questionnaire to an individual who have attended 3 fantastic days, gone through various models, he will write, it is a beautiful program that you have conducted. Well done, 5 out of 5. Has it achieved the objective? No. It's a reactive feedback. It's the first level feedback. Do a regular feedback to ensure that your investment has achieved the desired outcome. Immediate, 6 months, and the 12 months. And then you would then evaluate your program for the next batch, a continuous professional development program. This is exactly what we have done within the Gulf, and what we have done is that we have given our leaders more than the desire to stay connected, motivated, and happy within the organization. Thank you very much.